It's nice to see all of you today. We're going to be talking about Viking Cruise Lines and reviewing some cruises that have been canceled on Princess. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Saturday and it is August 24th of 2024. I want to remind you all, if you haven't subscribed yet, we would love to have you with us. I see a lot of questions and different groups on Facebook, lots of places about things that we all talk about here together. And so I would invite you to join us. Click on that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any important information to help you on your next cruise. And also, if you appreciate my updates, please give this video a thumbs up. We are trying to make it to 25,000 subscribers by next Saturday, the day we get on the Love Boat Cruise, August 31st. So come and be part of the fun. Let's talk for just a minute about the Crown Princess. Some of the information has been trickling in over the last few days, and I think that we have seen the cancellations that are going to happen. There are some sailings that have been canceled on the Crown Princess due to a change in the schedule in her dry dock. And so the one that I think has the greatest impact on people, it's hard to say that one cruise being canceled has more impact on than another cruise being canceled, but they have this magnificent cruise that was due to sail from Singapore down to Australia. Just a fantastic voyage, and I love to look for those kind of voyages because they make a lot of other travel, I like to call it linkable, makes it so that you can do cruises in one region, take a cruise, and then do a cruise in another region, and that cruise is no longer going to sail. I'm keeping my eye out for any replacements, and I've been holding my breath honestly about that, but I have not seen any replacements come in to replace those cruises that have been canceled on the Crown Princess. So it doesn't seem like we need to worry about any cancellations coming up on any other cruise ships now. It's been a couple of days, and so hopefully everyone will be able to still make their travel plans work out. And let me know if you were on a cruise that was impacted by that. I know a couple of you were, and it's really hard, isn't it? You know what, hard as far as life goes? It's hard, but I know that there are other things in life that are harder and perhaps more stressful, just so you know I have perspective. Now let's talk for a minute about Viking. I've been waiting for a day that we've had a little bit less cruise news because I feel like Viking really deserves some attention. And so even if you have never cruised on Viking, even if you never think you want to cruise on Viking, I think it's worth it for you to listen here and be part of the conversation. So earlier this week, two headlines came up from Viking. One is that they have released their second quarter 2024 financial results, which are a really big deal. So whether or not you are aware, back at the beginning of May, I think it was on May 3rd, Viking went public. Before then, the cruise line had been privately owned. Ever since it was started, it has grown phenomenally. They are known around the world. Truly, you could call them the leader in river cruising, probably because they have the most ships and they are very well known. There are some other cruise lines that are a little bit nicer, but definitely Viking is a name in the river cruise world, and they are making an increasingly large footprint in the ocean cruising as well. And so some things that really came up that really have stood out to me is be aware that when they went public at $24 a share. And just so you know where they stand right now, yesterday they closed at just over $35 a share. So they're doing really well. And let me tell you some numbers that really stood out to me on their financial reports and some information that goes with that. So first of all, when they compare where they are in 2023 with where they are in the same quarter of 2024, so looking between last year and this year, their revenue is up 9.1% this year over where it was last year. They also have a very strong margin. Their margin has increased over 9.5% over what it was last year. And then finally, a really big deal to cruise lines is how what 50% of their capacity is booked for sailings in the future. So when you look at the cruises through the end of 2024 for Viking, they are booked at 95%. That means out of all those cabins that they have available on their river and on their ocean ships, there is only 5% left. And then when you look at 2025, they are already booked at 55%, which is a really strong position. A lot of times, just kind of an earmark note is that when you get to the end of one year, you look at how much you have booked, and then during that next year, you're going to book at least 35% more for that year. So does that make sense? And we're only in August. We're getting towards the end of August. So Viking still has 4 more months to book cruises for 2025, see what their position is, and then add a lot more. So they're doing very, very well. Here's one thing, though, that I thought was so interesting. So not only does Viking have a very strong financial position, but they have their eye on the future. They have a lot of ships on order right now. I'll talk to you about one new one that they just barely took ownership of. But when they look towards the future, they really have outlined what they want to do as a corporation. There was a recent interview where the president and CEO of Viking Cruise Line, Torstein Hagen, he was talking about what they are looking for in the future, who else they want to attract to take the Viking River cruises and the Viking Ocean cruises. Historically, it has been a lot of people who are in their 50s, 60s, and onward, retired, have disposable income, like to see culture, like to see all of the things that Viking offers. But along with that, Viking doesn't allow anyone who is aged and under the age of 18 on their ships. So you're not going to go on a Viking cruise and have a bunch of children running around, whether you want them or not. And as he was talking in this interview, he was saying that they really want to call the attention of Viking to a lot of the people who historically haven't been in their target market. People who are in their 30s who maybe want to go on a cruise and they don't want kids around because they're either tired of their own, they want a break from them, they want to get away. People who don't necessarily want to bring their grandchildren or or be around other people's children either. And I agree that there is a time and place for everything. And so Viking is really positioning themselves in this really sweet place to offer everything that a lot of different age groups would enjoy on a cruise, but also to have the onboard experience that a lot of people would look for. So what do I think about this? I think the future is very bright for Viking because of how they manage their assets and how they run their cruises. They are known for wanting payment for their cruises way far in advance. Nobody else does that, but people enjoy the product enough that they are happy to pay their money in advance and get to go on their cruises. Does that make sense? A lot of them require payment a year out, full payment. And so it's a really interesting place that Viking is. Tell me in the comments below, have you been on a Viking cruise? Do you want to go on a Viking cruise? And would you even consider a Viking cruise? I very much would consider a Viking cruise. I'm looking at that. I keep saying that, but I really am. So I'll let you know when I've got that booked. Now, along with that news, Viking just took ownership of their brand new Hathor ship. So she is going to be sailing on the Nile there in Egypt, and it was actually built at a shipyard there, the Masaris shipyard in Egypt. So Viking just went there. They had a special ceremony and took ownership of that ship. Now, the Hathor is a sister ship to the Osiris and the Aton, and they've also got a couple of other ships that are also sailing on the Nile. It's the Viking Ra and the MS Antares. So when you think about the cruises that these ships are going to be running on the Nile, I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about them for just a minute. So they call it their 12-day Pharaohs and Pyramids itinerary. You actually fly into Cairo, and by the way, you can add like a pre-package and a post-package, which opens up a little bit more of that part of the world, and so you can see a lot more during your trip if you would like to. But anyway, you fly into Cairo, whether you're coming from home or from one of those pre-cruise extensions. And you're going to have 3 nights there in Cairo. And I love that they do that because there is so much to see in Cairo. You get to go see the Great Pyramids of Giza while you're there, the Necropolis of Saqqara, the Mosque of Muhammad Ali, the Grand Egyptian Museum. You get to go see the markets and lots of other things as well when you look at the complete itinerary. Then you get on a plane and you fly down to Luxor. And when you arrive in Luxor there, you're going to get to visit the Temple of Luxor and Karnak, so then you get on the riverboat and you're going to be on this 8-day cruise on the Nile and get to go see all the things. So this is when you're going to get to go see the tombs of Nefertiti and Tutankhamun, the Temple of Num in Esna, the Dendra Temple complex in Kina, the Temple of Abu Simbel, the High Dam in Aswan. If you don't know about that High Dam in Aswan, it is so interesting. Like, Google it. It was really amazing what happened, what they moved, what they weren't able to move when they flooded that region to make that dam there and save that water. It was a really big deal. So you get to see that, and the reason I want to do it too, I not only want to see everywhere, but I've also read a lot about these places. But when you go somewhere, it changes your perspective from what you see in a book, from what you see in watching a video when someone else is there, to really seeing it yourself and experiencing it all. And I love to listen to other people talk about it, that know about it, because inevitably you learn more about it. It changes the way you see things sometimes, and makes things a little bit more clear sometimes, brings some nuances. But anyway, that's what I think is really interesting. So once again, Viking has their brand new Hathor. So now they're going to have 5 ships, 5 sailing on the Nile, taking people there. And you should know that river boats there in Egypt have to be operated by Egyptians, people who live in Egypt there. But Viking, as well as the other cruise lines, I will add, have a really good relationship with the people that run those boats. They own them, like Viking owns it, but it is operated by Egyptians, same with Alma Waterways and the other ones. But they do a really good job to ensure that you have the experience on board that you're expecting. So let me know what you think in the comments. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe 2027. If we can't slide it in sooner, will be a really good time to go to Egypt, but I'll keep you up to date on that. Let me know if you've got questions about anything. I appreciate you being here today, and I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.